Hi, it's Tyke. Still in my dark apartment, but I've got a wee bit of a cold, so if I get a sniffle or a sneeze, I do all my videos in one take. So, anyway, this week we're talking about our name change. And my name is Tyke, as I said. I do get a lot of questions about my name because it's unusual. One of the things is my initials are the same. I like that as my old name, and in a way, how you start to say my old name and my new name are similar phonetically. So if somebody's going to have an accident, they will be able to easily change. Of course, these things are things that I've observed since I've been Tyke. Changed my name about 2 years ago now. It's why did I choose this name? It's a name that's been in my head for a while, over 10 years, I'm sure. It's an Irish name, and translated roughly it means poet. My family has always had Irish names, and that's something I've always liked. Even from a child, I liked the fact that we had Irish names, and all the guy names that are more recognizable and easier to pronounce and such like, unless they're written in Irish, are taken. So we've already got, my brothers are Declan and Aidan. We've also got Connor and Callum, Sean and Rory. So it's a lot of the male Irish names taken anyway, and I didn't really want to name myself after anybody that's in my close family. I didn't want to cause confusion, and if people didn't like what I was doing, they really wouldn't like it if I chose a name. So that was my name choice. It's tough for people to pronounce. My quick answer when people ask me how to spell my name is I tell them it's like tiger without the on the end, or the R on the end, so it's Tyke. And I get called very funny things, like telemarketers will call to ask for Taj. I got called Taj on a training course all last week. I did correct him on the pronunciation, but he wasn't particularly interested in learning it, so I just went, screw it, I'm only here for a week. I get called Tag, and I also get called Tad. I don't hate being called that, but I hope that people will learn to say my name. I don't know, that's just a personal little thing of mine, I don't like chewing gum, and I like it when people try to remember people's names, because I think it's a point of respect. So, that's that, really. That's what did I do? When I changed my name, the first thing I did was I did it via deed poll. And I did it on a deed poll website. There is a way to do it for free. But one thing I liked about the deed poll website is they furnished you with a swishy looking certificate and stuff. So it's nice having that in my hand. I had to pay for it, but it's nice having it in my hand. It's an official document, so things like banks my college, all the people I've had to notify about my name change. I've had this swishy looking document and they accept it. So it cost me £10. So for the sake of hassle, it's been good to have. I did a training course last week, and like my passport's still in my old name, mainly because I'm a cheap git, because to change the name on the passport I have to get a whole new passport and pay the full fee, and my passport isn't that old, so I'm a student. So when I make some money this summer, I'll take care of that, but I have to have a passport and birth certificate, and I can't get a birth certificate changed until I get my gender recognition certificate, and I won't be able to do that until August, because I think the first official thing I did was tell my university of my name change, and that would be 2 years ago come August, so I'll be able to get them to prove it, because you have to, it's almost like you're going under trial to get a gender recognition certificate here, because it's like you're sending evidence to a jury, which is a bit ridiculous, and it's almost like they're deciding for you, despite the fact that I'm going through this, and my gender clinic tells me that my gender is my choice. So the gender recognition certificate's a bit weird, but with that I'll be able to change my birth certificate. Now, because I'm in the UK and I was born in Northern Ireland, one of the things I don't like about Northern Ireland is when you change your passport, it will still say, not the passport, your birth certificate, it'll still say born female, even though it will have my new gender as male. Now, I think in the rest of the UK, when you change your birth certificate, it will just change it to male. So I don't like that, because it's a bit unfair, and with such an important piece of identification, it draws up questions. And there are times in your life where you do want to go stealth, and you don't want to be recognized as trans. Question. Last week I did a security training course, and I was in a room for 5 days with squaddies, and most of them were really nice guys, but there were people in that room that if they saw me on the street with the knowledge that I was a trans guy, would be quite happy to get the boot in there. I got that sense from them. They were almost like EDL type people that hopefully, I'm sitting there praying that they failed their tests, because they're thugs, really. And the nice thing about the training for this course was that it emphasized that we're responsible for people's safety rather than being thugs. So these guys would be more willing to use force than using, the art of talking to calm people down and stuff, which is what I would say that my strengths were, is to keep people calm. So anyway, for this course, the ID was really, really stringent, so I had to use my passport and I had to use my birth certificate, which made me have to explain to them. Now, I almost wasn't allowed to take the test. I had other ID with me at the beginning of the week, which I've been able to use anywhere for any kind of thing that is acceptable ID, but I had to go and get my passport and birth certificate to take this test, So I ended up having to get train on Wednesday night up to Aberdeen, and then back down to Edinburgh on Thursday morning, back in time for class, to do the physical intervention training. And I had phoned the authority and asked them and explained, I was a trans guy, and I phoned them, and they said that the ID I had would be fine as long as I had my DPOL certificate. And so I was like, fair enough. I get there Thursday morning, the instructor comes out and he says, okay, did you go all the way back up to Aberdeen? I'm like, aye. And he said, well, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. And he said that the examining board weren't going to accept the ID. And I said, well, under the Equality Act 2010, that is discrimination. I should be allowed to take this exam like anybody else. I'm supposed to be treated according to my gender. And I says the ID that I have is legal ID, and I also have evidence of the use of my new name. So I had brought bank statements and things like that with my address on it. I brought my student ID and my license and all that stuff, furnishing the fact that legally it's my name. And he said, well, because there's a question mark, well, what we'll do is you can come back in a couple of weeks when we get this sorted. And I'm like, no, I don't have time. I've got exams, I'm doing this course and I'm studying in the evening. I says, I don't have time. I have to have this done this week. This is, I timetabled myself. I says, I'm already missing classes, and that's not acceptable. So I ended up having to be a little bulldog and make phone calls and explain the situation and explain that it wasn't good enough. And probably, I think it was about 4:30 that afternoon, I finally got the exam board people to phone me, and I passed my phone on to the instructor and said, okay, this is what we have to do. Now, I wasn't 100% satisfied with the solution, because in the exam papers and such like, I had to write my old name down as well as my new name, and I did give them a copy of the DPOL for all the ID. And I did ask them, I says, well, will my license, my SIA license after my exam, have my new name on it? And they were almost going to make me write down my gender as female as well in all the exam papers. So it was a pretty frustrating experience, and I said no. I says, I am my recognized gender. I'm not writing that. So I put my foot down, and I'm supposed to have my results next Friday, and we'll just have to hold my breath. But there's annoying little things that we have to trip over as trans guys to sort of fight for who we are, and it's not just as simple as just choosing a name, and we've got to be so prepared. And the biggest thing to know, I guess, right now in the UK is the Equalities Act 2010, which is, if you Google it, it's a fairly simple piece of legislation to read, and it's actually streamlined, so it's simple for people to understand. So there's a little bit of info for you, and that's me to this week. Sorry I'm not very jokey or happy today. I'm miserable with the cold and I've got a paper due. So I'll see you next week, and I hope everybody's keeping well. Alright, cheers.